Hello everyone, and in today's video we are going to be discussing the top 10 disturbing video games. Now, I was meaning to get this video out months and months and months ago, but I just got overwhelmed with a lot of work, so I was unable to do so. So, apologies in advance for making you all wait, but with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed the video and have a wonderful day and night, depending where you live or depending when you watch this video. I love you all, and stay safe. The Binding of Isaac. On its surface, Binding of Isaac looks more weird than disturbing. You play as a small boy moving through Legend of Zelda type levels, procedurally generated levels, and fighting weird enemies like Sentinel poops and lumps of flesh. If you start delving into the backstory of the game, however, things get really disturbing really fast. The opening narration informs you that Isaac's mother spends her day watching religious television, and that God spoke to her and informed her that her son, Isaac, that's you, needs to be killed. And it only gets worse from there. As you get further through the game, levels start to get names like Scared Womb, and you battle with more and more enemies that resemble malformed versions of Isaac. You battle your mother as a boss, throwing bombs at her eyes until she explodes in a shower of blood. If you kill enough angels, you can grab a key and battle Satan himself as the final boss. There are plenty of disturbing bits of lore in Binding of Isaac, and plenty of places where people pitch their pick for the most disturbing bit in the game. This Reddit post has been the best we've seen. Isaac loves his dead cat Gumpy, so much that he associates the flies swarming his body as friends. Doki Doki Literature Club. At first, Doki Doki Literature Club looks like a pretty standard anime visual novel. Cute, animated girls in dangerously tight clothing flirting with the player characters you choose who would like to romance. Things occasionally get odd, like the fact that the girl's poetry is far less cutesy than you would expect. It seems like it's just monetarily strange little free game. Then suddenly, it isn't. Doki Doki Literature Club has some absolutely bonkers twists in it, and it eventually gets to the point where the game is openly hostile towards you. Not your character, but you, the player. It obscures conversations options, keeping you from choosing them. It mocks your designs and your helplessness. And if you somehow manage to make it through all the bizarre and disturbing material, you're rewarded with a terrible, blank ending. The Suffering. The Suffering centers on the story of Torque, a prisoner on death row for murdering his ex-wife and 2 children, a crime that he possesses no memory of committing shortly after he arrives in Abbott State Penitentiary. On Carnate Island off the coast of Maryland, an earthquake hits the island, resulting in the prison being attacked by supernatural threats from the island's past. After being freed, Torque attempts to fight his way to freedom while confronting his own personal demons, all while attempting to remember what really happened to his family. The game features 3 endings which depend on the player's gameplay choices, throughout each of which reveals a different version of the murder of Torque's family. Dead Space. Primarily set in the 26th century, science fiction universe featuring environments, weapons, and characters typical of the genre, the Dead Space franchise centers on a series of video games beginning with the release of the first Dead Space, which follows an engineer named Isaac Clarke and the mutated undead horrors that surround him. The central theme in the games is the fictional cult religion, Uniology, and its fanatical followers who believe that information about an alien artifact called the Marker is being suppressed by the Earth's government. Their primary goal is to use this marker to bring about the so-called conversions or unification, with the markers being the source of the undead monsters, and countered by the series by the protagonists. The Evil Within. While investigating the scene of a mass murder at Beacon Mental Hospital, Crimson City Police Detective Sergeant Sebastian Castellanos, his partner Joseph Otta, and junior detective Julie Nicole Kidman found themselves suddenly thrown into an unreal world after hearing a high-pitched noise. Shortly after this occurs, Sebastian is separated from his partners and is forced to flee from a monstrous man wielding a chainsaw. Upon reuniting with his colleagues, they attempt to escape via ambulance while Crimson City is destroyed by a massive earthquake, eventually causing them to crash. Freeing himself from the wreckage, Sebastian wanders through a dark forest and abandoned buildings full of monstrous creatures and witnesses the apparition of a disfigured man in a white hood. Sebastian soon encounters one of Beacon's doctors, Marcelo Jimenez, who is searching for his partner, Leslie Withers. Jimenez identifies the hooded stranger stalking them as Ruvik. Manhunt. In 2003 in Carcer City, a journalist, Kate Miller, reports about James Earl Cash, Stephen Wilfong, a death row inmate who has been recently executed by lethal injection. However, Cash was only sedated and awakened to an unknown voice referring to him as the director, Brian Cox, who gives him instructions throughout an earpiece. The director promises Cash his freedom, but only if he murders hunters, gang members sent to hunt him. In special areas around Carcer City filmed by CCTV, Cash's first victim are the Hoods, a gang of dangerous criminals and corrupt police officers patrolling an abandoned area of the city. After eliminating them, he is abducted by the Cerberus, the director's personal security unit, who take him to another part of Carcer City. Outlast. A freelance investigative journalist, Miles Upshur, receives an ominous email that inhumane experiments are being conducted at Mount Massive Asylum, a private psychiatric hospital owned by the notoriously known Murkoff Corporation. Upon entering, Miles is shocked to discover its halls ransacked and littered with the mutated corpses of the staff. He's informed by a dying officer of Murkoff's private military unit that Mount Massive deranged inmates known as variants have escaped and are freely roaming the grounds, butchering Murkoff's employees. The officer tells Miles to escape and reveal that the main doors can be unlocked from security control. Cry of Fear. The story begins in a dark and glooming city in Sweden, with Simon waking up in an alley after a car strikes him. As he is trying to help an injured man waking up in an alley, Simon tries to make his way home, but deformed monsters attack him after failing to call the police. Simon receives a text from a man pleading for help. When he enters and searches in an apartment block, he finds the man dead in his bathtub. Progressing further, as the apartment building slowly grows more run down and eventually covered in blood. A monster attacks him with a chainsaw that decapitates itself upon defeat, prompting Simon to vomit and pass out. Condemned Criminal Origins. Condemned Criminal Origins is set in the fictional American city of Metro. The player takes on the role of Ethan Thomas, a crime scene investigative agent with the FBI Serial Crime Unit. As he traverses the cedar sides of the city, his journey takes him through a number of condemned buildings as he searches for the one who framed him for murder, the evasive serial killer X, along the way. Ethan must use his investigative intuition and technology to examine evidence left behind SKX, all the while fighting off the violent, psychotic denizens of Metro City, who seem to be driven to such madness by a mysterious yet seemingly extreme force. Silent Hill 2. James Sunderland comes to Silent Hill after apparently receiving a letter from his wife Mary, who died of an illness 3 years before. While exploring the town, he encounters Angela, a teenage runaway, searching for her mother, Eddie Dombrowski, another teenage runaway, a bratty 8-year-old girl by the name of Laura, who befriended Mary and excuses James of not truly loving her. While searching a local park, James also meets Maria, a woman who strongly resembles Mary but has a much more assertive personality. Maria claims that she has never met or seen Mary, and because she is frightened by the monsters, James allows her to follow him. Arriving at a bowling alley, Eddie and Laura are found inside, but Laura runs off. There you have it. The video is finished. I truly hope you all had an amazing time watching the video, and I can't express it enough how much it means to me for anyone who has made it up until this point. Thank you so very much for being the amazing and kind-hearted people that you always are, and for supporting the channel. It means a whole lot to me, more than you could ever imagine. So, with that being said, I hope you guys will enjoy the video, and if you could be so generous, please be sure to hit the like button, and also hit the subscribe button as well. It genuinely does help me out to make more content to produce for you guys. So, as always, with that being said, I love you all from the very bottom of my heart. You all have an amazing day or night, depending where you live, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.